Hey, Godzilla. I've got a bone to pick with you about your first movie.
Oh, my back.
So the new Godzilla movie is about to come out, and so I thought now's a good time as any to go ahead and rewatch the first movie. Let me just Google this really quick. What? A 6? What? I remember really liking this movie. It can't be a 6.
2 hours later.
Oh man, that was much rougher than I remember. Okay, let's talk about this movie. Okay, before we really dive into this, let's put this movie into some context. Now, Godzilla 2014, there's gotta be a better way to say that, is not the best movie, and isn't even really the best Godzilla movie, or kaiju movie, or even movie about a giant lizard, or even like a disaster movie, or even a monster movie, or even a movie based on... Alright, you get the point. It's a baffling movie that makes baffling decisions almost at every point. But there is a good movie buried somewhere in there. It's just buried real deep. But let's not forget that this movie was the first Godzilla movie made in the States since 1998 for...
You caused more damage than that goddamn thing did!
All right, Mayor, calm down. Just have some candy.
No, I don't want any candy. Leave me alone.
Reasons I'd rather not talk about. And not only did it do well enough to throw Godzilla back into the limelight, it propelled the entire series to huge heights. And now we got a monsterverse that's weirdly been more consistent than the gosh dang MCU, for crying out loud. And you know, I love Godzilla. I mean, who doesn't? It's about a big giant lizard with laser beams fighting other similarly gigantic people in cosplay. I even have this cool scroll thing from Japan, and it's the only thing in my life that I'm even remotely proud of. Ever since I was a kid and watched some random Godzilla movie that was the only thing on TV, I've been hooked. It was on my analog, broken CRT that looked like it was gonna explode every time Godzilla would shoot his atomic breath of destruction. Like, I even had that crazy knockoff green Godzilla toy. You know, the one with the freaky eyes that look deep into your soul? And you know, because of reasons, kid me never even got another movie in the series that wasn't some terrible redub of an old wacky Godzilla doing high jump kicks. So when this movie first got announced, you better believe I threw on my Godzilla jammies and saw this thing in the theaters. And I even walked out unironically saying things like, "Wow, that was great," and "Oh man, I hope they make another one exactly like that one." I was dumb, I know. But to be fair, if you didn't watch it in theaters, you're still right. I was just being a big dum-dum. So if you wanted context, there it is. I know you didn't ask for it, but you know, that kind of feels a lot like what ends up happening in this movie. A lot of stuff we didn't ask for, but got anyway, and a whole little of what we did ask for. But more than all that, what strikes me as so interesting about this movie and why I feel like I just had to talk about it was because it's just so different from the rest of the movies that follow it. And by the look of the trailers for the new one, it still looks like it'll be pretty different from the latest movie too. Not only in design and direction, but also the tone and cinematography. Like, man, some of these shots are insane. And I'm not gonna lie, yeah, the human plot's not the best. I mean, everyone's made out of cardboard, and this kid has unintentionally the funniest scenes in the movie. But it tried really hard to not be another popcorn-busting monster movie. That's like the equivalent to a toddler button-mashing on his pretend Xbox controller that actually dispenses candy, while the older siblings are actually playing the game. No. This movie took itself very seriously, maybe a bit too seriously, and is home of, to this day, some of the best sequences in the entire series. And I'd say maybe even the entire genre of monster movies made in the West. And it also has the best character in the series too. I don't think I can over-explain this movie's significance. And you know, it starts off like the MonsterVerse franchise in the West did, with a pretty strong start, and then it kind of just makes some decisions that completely upend the whole tone of the movie, and ugh. Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's start with the characters. Or maybe I should say character. You already made that joke. There's really only one good character in the entire film, and he dies within the first 30 minutes of the movie. That's right, I have to talk about Bryan Cranston's character. I think I'm just gonna use the actor's name, because to be honest, I don't even remember anyone's name, even after watching this movie like 4 times. Everyone knows this. You go online, and what's everyone talking about when discussing this movie? Why'd they kill this guy off? He was the only part of the movie that worked. It's so bad that even Bryan Cranston himself thought the same thing. Look! But before I get ahead of myself, let me start at the beginning. So Bryan Cranston, Bryan? That feels kind of weird to call him that. Works at a power plant in Japan, and his Japanese is... Not great, but honestly better than I expected. When he starts to notice these bizarre tremors, but since the endless mandate that is capitalism dictates the business must move forward, safety be darned, they don't listen to him when he suggests powering down the plant. And what do you know? A meltdown occurs! Who could have seen that coming? But honestly, this is where the best parts of the human drama happen in the movie. The acting from everyone here is top notch. The tension builds dramatically, and there's this scene that kind of just transcends the entire genre right here. See, both he and his wife work at the plant, and he sends her down to the depths, I guess, of nuclear power. There, the meltdown occurs, and the radioactive steam starts chasing them, leaving them only a few minutes to get back and seal the entrance before the gas gets out and contaminates the outside. Now, I'm explaining this because in any other monster movie, I feel like we would know what happens. They make it out just in time and maybe even catch a glimpse of the monster causing the tremors, and then the movie moves on from there. But that isn't what happens at all. They actually don't make it, which leaves Bryan Cranston to press the button, sealing his wife in to basically die an excruciating death from radiation poisoning. Now this scene slaps, and I mean it slaps. We're talking about a Godzilla movie, for crying out loud. I did not expect such a masterclass of acting, tension, dialogue, you name it. I don't see it talked about too much, but when you first watch this movie, you naturally get excited for the rest of the movie. Because if this masterpiece is just the opening scene, the rest of the movie must be really good. Right? Right? Well, this movie tends to do this thing where it immediately jumps kind of haphazardly all over the place, and we see this happen here. It flashes forward way too many years into the future, where now we follow Bryan Cranston's son, military guy. And oh man, this is where the movie starts to break down. You see, Bryan Cranston had a son who attended the local school near the power plant, so he saw all that stuff go down. Which, would be fine as character motivation to drive him towards some of the actions he takes later on in the movie. And maybe that is the case, but the narrative connective tissue just isn't there. He's definitely traumatized by what he saw, but even so, he comes off a bit, aloof? Not really emoting much other than a small nod and maybe a smile here and there. And, we could say, well, he's a soldier, so that's just how they are. But I'd argue there's plenty of soldiers in the movie that, for better or worse, show way more emotion than this guy does. It wouldn't even be so bad if the movie wasn't so obsessed with making him the center of the movie. I mean, his father had such better character motivations, moments, and dialogue, and yet we're stuck with this guy for some reason. So basically, his father gets caught lurking around in the quarantine zone back in Japan. Oh yeah, did I mention the story kind of ditches Japan for most of the movie? And he's got to go bail him out. Once in Japan, we find that Bryan Cranston has been obsessing over what happened all those years ago and convinces his son to go back to the quarantine zone to find out what actually happened. They go and realize that something sucked the radiation dry and it's not actually a quarantine zone. They get caught, and then the best scene of the movie happens, and the scene that they plastered all over the trailers and made you think that this is what the movie was gonna be like. Here it is. Oh yeah, it's good. Here we meet Ken Watanabe's character here. The scientist who's always got the "I really wish Godzilla were here right now" face that the audience probably has as well right about now. And it turns out his organization, Monarch, has been monitoring this pod thing that's been eating the radiation. Well, thanks to the data they recovered from Brian's apartment, now they know what's about to happen. The same thing that happened 15 years ago. The monster wakes up and, wait, that's not Godzilla. So then a bunch of people die due to improper safety guidelines, the monster called a Muto gets away, and the American military steps in and takes over the operation. There's this really funny scene here. The military guy asks the researcher, who needs to come along with them to help with his research, and he points to Bryan Cranston and his son. And then literally, not even 5 minutes later, Bryan Cranston dies. So yeah, good going, scientist guy. Also, I'm not trying to insinuate anything here, but his son takes off his oxygen mask so that the audience can kind of hear what he's saying, and his vitals drop dramatically after, and then he dies. Did he just kill his father? Bro, put the mask back on. And I hate to say it, but once Bryan Cranston dies, the movie kind of dies with him. Or better yet, it becomes an irradiated corpse, trudging onward, just begging for the sweet release of an ending. Once the military gets involved, the movie not only slows to a crawl, mind you, we are already about 30-ish minutes into the movie, and we've only gotten around 15 total seconds of monster footage and no Godzilla, but it also suddenly has really stilted and almost kind of silly dialogue, reminding me more of movies that don't take themselves as seriously as the first act would have you imagine. I mean, The military is hilarious. I'm going to refer to all of them as the singular entity because honestly, it'll be funnier that way. So the military, man, the military. Where do I start? They are so bad at their jobs. Like, okay, the scientist tells them we should let Godzilla fight the monster. And the first military guy's face is like, what? That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. But, like, the military kinda ends up doing that anyway. Like, the amount of shots fired at the monsters and Godzilla is tiny. You see them shoot like 3 tank missiles and a couple of air raids, and like, that's it. Like, you're telling me the United States government can't muster up a better response than this? And their dialogue is so funny. I mean, I'm not a military dude. I don't know too much lingo, but it can't be this.
But we tried that before.
We're talking dialable yield, megatons, not kilotons. Nothing can withstand that blast. Makes the bomb we tried to kill it with in 54 look like a firecracker.
Silly? Like, maybe I didn't notice it the first time because it was in theaters and it's just kind of hard to hear, but with headphones on, you can hear all the radio chatter from the military, and it's the dumbest thing ever.
Takes a licking, keeps on ticking.
I never noticed how bad the dialogue was until the military starts talking. Then it gets pretty funny at times when it's not supposed to be. Also, like, they know where the Mutos are. Did I mention there's 2 now?
This one doesn't have any wings.
And they have babies. At this point of the movie, I had to make sure we were still watching a Godzilla movie. Because, I mean, what the heck is this? Anyway, the military knows where the Muto are and are going. They know where Godzilla is going too. And, like, they don't even really try to evacuate anyone. I mean, yeah, evacuating cities is tough. But when Godzilla shows up to Hawaii, no one is even prepared. And, like, a lot of people here seem to die. So, I don't know. I just gotta say, the military is not very good at their jobs in this movie. Now is a good time to talk about the elephant in the room. You know, I would say let's talk about the Godzilla in the room, but he's not here. He's probably in someone else's movie because we don't get to see him all that much. I know what the movie was trying to go for here, building up tension to get a climactic final act that's full of Godzilla action. And the last part, yeah, that's definitely what happens. But the lead up is too much. Godzilla doesn't show up until an hour into the movie. That's crazy. Imagine like a Batman movie where Batman doesn't even show up until an hour into the movie. And I don't mean like just Batman. I mean like Bruce Wayne too. The entire hour filled with just random people doing random things. And when Godzilla does show up, it's for 20 seconds and then it cuts away. Gosh, maybe those reviews were right. Like the amount of time Godzilla does or is about to do something cool just to immediately cut away kind of feels a little mean. He wakes up and hunts the Muto, but man, does he take his time. What makes it even weirder is that Pacific Rim came out a year earlier, and that movie, while yeah, it was very dark at times, did not shy away from showing you what you came to see. I don't know, I just think there was a better way to balance the human drama with the monster drama, and maybe that could have just been as simple as speeding things up a bit, especially to make the middle of the movie not feel like such a drag. I mean, nothing even really happens after military guy's father dies, all the way to the final act to where the good stuff is. The military tries some stuff, it fails, they act shocked, follow Godzilla's trajectory, do not evacuate anyone for whatever reason, try some other stuff, that fails, follow Godzilla some more, and then the monsters fight. Oh yeah, there's also like a bomb that does not accomplish anything and blows up well outside the city. Again, the military, causing its own problems, being bad at their jobs. What's also funny is that at the end, when Godzilla wakes up and walks back into the sea, we hear cheering from the people who survive, and the news is all like, King of Monsters? Our hero? And like, I get it, you know, Godzilla is supposed to be a hero in these movies, fighting off dangerous monsters that want to destroy humanity. But like, the people don't know that. To them, there were just 3 monsters duking it out, destroying property, killing dozens, if not hundreds of people, and causing just massive amounts of destruction. At this point, really, only the military, the scientist, and the scientist's assistant know that Godzilla is hunting the Muto. So why would everyone cheer? I don't know, I just thought it was funny. But you know what? It's easy to meme on movies that contain a giant lizard fighting other giant facsimiles of animals. Let's talk about what this movie does good, because you know what? It actually does have a lot going for it. Firstly, the cinematography is unreal. There are a lot of scenes and shots in this movie that are just breathtaking. Like the framing of key character moments, such as when the kid sees the plant falling, the scenes bathed in otherworldly red light, and whenever Godzilla is on screen, you're in for a visual treat. And I gotta give them credit. They do take the human drama pretty seriously. It's not as goofy as the newer movies, and thankfully there are no evil humans that have paper-thin motivations for whatever it is the characters were doing in those movies. The fight scenes are also standouts, as quick and short as they may be. The sound design, oh man, the sound design is iconic. Literally, whenever the monsters are on screen, the sounds they make as they fight, or even when they're just moving around, are something special and always give me chills. Whoever did the sound, great job. The monsters sound otherworldly, like they really are these mysterious, ethereal, and ancient beings, and the humans are just simply ants to them. I also appreciate how the movie treats Godzilla as this force of nature rather than like a character, which the new movies don't really do too much of. His buildup is almost like preparing to get hit by a tornado or a hurricane. And I can definitely tell that they were inspired by real footage of actual natural disasters to sort of frame Godzilla's might. Godzilla's design is also top notch. It has the perfect balance of looking super cool and fearsome. I'd buy a giant figurine of it if I could, but alas, I have no money. Very cool stuff here. Can't be understated. Just kind of wish we got more of it, and a little more often too. So, this Godzilla movie is more like a disaster movie, in that it's a disaster of a movie. Okay, that wasn't very fair. I just wanted to make the pun. It's not a bad movie by any means, just a little slow, and I really do think it deserves a bit higher praise than it gets, but maybe just like a little bit? Not too much. The stuff it does right, I feel like went on to inform the entire genre moving forward. Stuff like the shot composition and the intensity of the monster fights. But it also has a lot of, not awful per se, but definitely mediocre moments that bog the movie down. The characters are all pretty wooden, and that would be fine if the Godzilla stuff overshadowed it, but it doesn't. And the dialogue does have really good moments.
The arrogance of man is thinking nature is in our control, and not the other way around.
Followed by the cringiest stuff you've ever heard in your life.
Let them fight.
So you're kind of left wondering what could have been if this movie made some different decisions. Not only for this movie, but maybe even the entire franchise moving forward. As I understand it, the reception to this movie really changed up how the movies were going to be made going forward, with more of an emphasis on the fighting and a more campy, action-focused tone that doesn't even really pretend to take itself seriously. Which, when I think about it, is what really bothers me about this whole thing. This movie, yeah, it wasn't the best, but I still enjoy it because it's just so different from other monster movies. And we actually do get to see a sort of tonally similar Godzilla movie in Godzilla -1, and that movie's amazing and everyone loves it. So there is a lot that can work with these types of movies in this style, and I miss that we don't get them much anymore from the Hollywood side of things. But it could be worse, I guess. Anywho, those are my thoughts on this movie. I am going to go see the new one soon, and who knows, if this video does well, maybe I'll review that one too. But what do you think about this movie? Are you a secret fan like I am and miss the tone this movie had? Let me know in the comments below. There's actually a lot of stuff I didn't get to cover, like how there's a weird emphasis on kids being in almost every scene. What's up with that? Or how the dog probably lives? Or how Mothra, yes that's right, Mothra, makes a subtle cameo in this movie. This movie is full of little stuff that's like unintentionally hilarious or interesting like that. And hey, if you liked the video and are new here, hey, how's it going? I'm Attaboy, and this is the Attaboy Show. Subscribe if you haven't already, and give the video a big ol' thumbs up. Anyways, I'll catch you guys later. Peace.